Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video, and everybody has been doom and gloom. The apocalypse of World of Warcraft, especially in the Mythic Plus community and in the PvP side of things, as well as raiding. And Blizzard has uploaded a post to address some of the concerns and outcry from the community. And in today's video, we're just going to be reviewing some of those announcements leading into patch 11.0.7 in the near future. And if you want to stay up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. So in next week's big update, Siren Isle patch 11.0.7, we'll be making several adjustments to the availability of Gilded Harbinger crests and to the acquisition of all crest types through Mythic Plus dungeons. Gilded crests and Mythic track gear represent the pinnacle of available gear from a season and are meant to be rare, but we have seen feedback that both the availability of these crests and the cost of crafting top tier gear felt prohibitive. So I've seen basically everybody complaining about the crest system and what's been going on with it. So what exactly are they going to be doing with it? Currency rewards from Mythic Plus dungeons, crests, gold, valor stones will now scale based on the keystone level. And completing a keystone outside of the timer now always will deduct 4 crests. So for heroic, you'll be getting 10. You'll be getting 10 for Mythic, 12 for +2, 14 for +3, 12 for +4. Oh, and then 8 as we advance to the higher levels. 14, 10, 16, 12. I mean, you get the picture. They're going to be increasing the amount of crests that you can get from this. I think they're also removing the cap on the crests available to it. It still doesn't really address the underpinning problems that I've seen from the community for Mythic Plus, which is oriented mostly around the healer and the tank role. It seems like tank busters and the amount of like one-shot damage that comes in on a tank is really high. It's extremely high. It can be really difficult to deal with as a tank player, and as a healer, it feels like really oppressive. There's a lot of responsibility put onto both of those roles with not a lot of the payout, and you kind of take the blame a lot of the times, as well as like, you know, the social aspect of not getting invited if you're not playing a meta spec, and that's likely attributed to the fact that it's just so damn hard. If it was a little bit easier, a little bit more forgiving, players might feel a bit more lenient to taking something that isn't the most absolute meta spec, but because it is so cutthroat at its current level at like Keystone level 12s, it seems like people are really like trying to make sure they can preserve their Keystone because it took you a lot of time to form the group, get there and actually do it, and you don't really want to fail it and waste all of your time, so you can't really blame them. But it is nice that they are addressing some of the rewards ends of this, realizing that it's becoming, you know, really difficult to get towards the top end of the gear, especially when a season's gone on at this point, because most people want to start playing alts. So applying this type of change, similar to how it is in PvP, where after you've gone through the initial phase, you want to start branching out and playing other characters. Conquest opens up and you can kind of just farm Conquest freely at that point. I think that this is a good strategy as far as rewards are concerned for that. Number of Gilded Harbinger crests needed to purchase a nascent Gilded Harbinger crest has also been reduced. So you're getting more and it costs less. Number of Harbinger crests needed to purchase trade-up bags reduced to 45 from 90. And Harbinger of Gilded Achievements now requires item level 636, down from 639. For players who are functionally finished with their gearing journey, the bar for the Harbinger of Gilded Achievement has been a bit too high, precluding the use of crafted gear and requiring luck to fill every slot. Lowering the threshold from item 639 to 636 should add a little more flexibility and ensure that players who are completing the hardest content feel like they can unlock the final Warbound discount. The changes to crests awarded from Mythic Plus have 2 main aims. Ideally, challenge and reward should be directly correlated. Until now, players whose primary goal was optimizing crest income were incentivized to run the lowest difficulty that awarded their desired crest type, even if they were capable of completing much more challenging content. This had the secondary effect of making it much harder for players just entering the Gilded range to find group for Mythic 8 keys, because they were often competing for slots with players who really belong in 10s, 12s, or even higher. Could also debate that, you know, it's allowing more geared players to help out new players coming in as well. And now there's going to be just less people overall, but maybe there's just so many people in that pool, it was bad to add anybody else from the top end. While it is important for all members of Mythic Plus groups to have a shared interest in finishing a dungeon within the timer, rather than just the key holder, dropping from a reward of 12 crests down to 5 crests when the timer was missed felt overly punitive. Currently in patch 11.0.5, for example, a group who fails to beat the timer in Mythic 7 will receive more crests for their effort than a group who crushes the timer in a Mythic 4. We hope that a difference of 4 crests strikes a better balance of incentivizing group effort while still feeling rewarding. Our goal with these changes is to help players who are attempting to push into the upper echelons of content, as well as those who have alts that they are looking to gear up to match the progress of their mains. Thank you for all the feedback to help shape these changes, and as always, we'll be following closely to see how the reward structure plays out in 11.0.7. So we don't see any updates for PvP, and having played a lot now recently on my stream, which is linked in the description down below, I can tell you that MMR, at least in solo shovel, feels really frozen. Considering earlier in the season, I'm trying to remember the last time I played my Boom King, because I got up above 2600 or close to 2600, and it didn't feel that challenging to get up there. I know, oh my god, he's flexing about not being that hard, but this is now relative to me playing now on alts in the threshold of like 22 to 2400. It feels harder to get rating now. Like, even I played Beast Mastery, Aflock, I've played Mage specs up to 2400. My Shaman's pretty close. But now in this week, on any characters that I play, it feels really hard to get MMR. Everybody feels just like stuck. I've seen some players saying that they feel like they've dropped a lot of rating from the past. So I don't know what is going on with the MMR system, but it feels like it's going backwards, not forwards. I don't know if it's because there's lower participation, if that's the reason. Maybe it's because people who are high rated are making alts, so they're playing at lower MMR on the same specs in a lot of cases, and that's causing the issue for it. But I really think something has to be done about it, because it's going to continue to drive people out of the game if MMR is not increased significantly at this point, because it's just not, it doesn't feel like it's moving. It feels like it's either staying still or going down, and it's really dragging a lot of people's pride on their rating and what they're trying to go and push for as far as achievements down a lot. It needs to be looked at. So the fact that they looked at this and addressed this, I'm really glad that they did. They responded to the feedback. I love how the communication has been broken down for this. I would really like to see an update when it comes to MMR, when it comes to PvP, because obviously PvP, I think, is suffering very significantly as well, as the outcries for Mythic Plus, as well as rating, which obviously they've been listening to the feedback as well, because over 1,000 guilds were stuck on Mythic Silken Court, and it seems that Blizzard has pushed a set of hotfixes just before the holidays to help with that. Here are the nerfs that we've data mined. So Void Degeneration and Burning Rage will now kill a player at 5 stacks, up from 4. Stinging Swarm now casts on 4 players, down from 5. The damage taken increased to 25%, up from 20. It only requires 4 stacks to trigger Stinging Delirium, down from 5. Triggering Web Bomb no longer summons an orb on all players hit. And Shatter Shell Scarab changed somehow, possibly health or melee damage. So this boss was looking like when I saw some of the charts on Bellular's video, it looked like hardly any guilds had really killed Mythic. You know, the last 2 bosses were really just gatekeeping people overall, and they've been nerfing Ansurect a lot leading up to this, and now they're nerfing Mythic Silken Court as well. And it's great that they're timing this right before the holiday break, so the guilds can hopefully kill these bosses before they're probably going to miss a week of raiding with that regard. And this kind of follows the same trend that I've seen for raiding back when I used to do it, like spam do it, where it's content's hard at the beginning, and then they nerf, and then by the end everybody's kind of crossing over the finish line when their item levels are maxed out and they've nerfed the bosses a few times. So it's kind of just falling in line with the changes that they've done for that. But I'm curious if they ever do an interview to say, like, how do they feel as far as hitting the difficulty mark for this raid tier? Are they going to try and keep it consistent with prior raid tiers? Is this deliberately made to be a harder boss in that sense, based on what they just wanted to design for it? Are they happy with the difficulty and how many guilds have killed it? Like, these types of questions I really like to ask. And same thing goes for like PvP. Like, are they happy with MMR the way that it is? Is this just the rating range that they want players playing at? I feel like the false expectations that have been set, and maybe it's similar to raids where it's like, hey, we cleared the Mythic raid on the last tier, but now suddenly we can't even come close. What's going on? These levels of just like indecisiveness for the player, just they don't really feel that great. So I'm glad that they're doing these nerfs. Guilds are going to be getting through more of the raid. They're looking at Mythic Plus. They're increasing the reward thresholds, making it less punitive as well for deaths and keys, which absolutely needed to be looked at. I think I've seen that as like one of the #1 points of feedback for Mythic Plus. And hopefully for PvP, we get like an MMR injection. Hopefully Santa is going to put some MMR in our stockings so the ladder can start going up a bit, because it feels like a very big struggle at the moment. So other than that, thank you very much for the watching the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed the update, and I will see you in the next one.